What is going on, guys? This is a little bit different of a video than what my sneaker channel is about, but I wanted to bring you guys an update on this watch. So I've been wearing this watch day in and out for the last 6 months, and I wanted to give you guys my thoughts on is buying the Rolex worth it after wearing it for 6 months. So hopefully this will be informative, at least some of those people out there that are curious about it, if it's a milestone in your life. So I've typically never been a watch person, and I always told myself if I bought this watch that I would wear it every single day, which I've done for the last 6 months. I bought this stainless steel Submariner with the date, and I realized that this is one of the most replicated watches around, but it was also one of the most iconic and classic looks to a wristwatch that I could visualize. But what really drew me to this watch was just the simple and classic look of the watch with that black backdrop and the stainless steel body. The price was $8,850 US, and I had to wait 1 month to be able to actually buy this watch. When I went into the store with a hat and a hoodie on the first time, they would not even let me try on the Submariner that they had in stock to give me a reference point of if I liked the way that this watch fit on my wrist and the size of the dial. This to me was a bit offensive, and it seemed ridiculous in 2018 that I was being judged on my appearance and the way I dressed, and they were not giving me the opportunity to even look seriously at buying this watch. Finally, the month that they actually showed up in stock, I went back in with a friend who had priority on the list, and they treated us much better than when I went in with my other friends in hoodies and hats. Fundamentally, this is a problem that I will not get into in this video, but I just wanted to make note of it. Why did I actually even want one of these in the first place? For clout, for status, for showing off, appreciation of the company, self-validation. The truth is maybe a combo of some of those things. When you grow up in a low income, you dream big and you always think that this is just sort of a dream. When you work hard and make a way for yourself and dreams actually become a reality, then it becomes a milestone to be able to actually buy one of these. For me, it was a legacy item that I could actually pass down to my son. Financially though, these actually hold value quite well, so if I was in a financial bind, I could probably sell it pretty easily. Anyways, fast forward, and I've been wearing this watch daily to work, to the park, to play with the kids, the grocery store, and in my weekly sneaker videos as you guys may have seen. And after wearing this, I do have some pros and cons that I want to share with you guys after owning a Rolex. We'll start off with the pros and then we'll get into the cons. And also please keep in mind that this is coming from somebody that is not a watch person, as I already mentioned. I'm not somebody that is very versed at watches, so I just happened to buy a really nice one for my very first one. Some of the pros though, it doesn't have a crazy glossy finish. It is kind of a brushed stainless on this one. The GMT had a really shiny finish versus the Submariner, and that's part of the reason why I went with this one, because I didn't like that glossy shiny coat. I like the brush look much better. Another pro is it's just a flat out a beautiful watch. I love the craftsmanship of this watch. It's simple and it's timeless, and I really like everything that this watch has to offer. Another pro is that ceramic bezel is really nice. You don't really have to worry about shattering or scratching this, and so far it was definitely worth paying the extra money buying a brand new one instead of buying the used previous model that didn't have the ceramic bezel. Next pro, if you wear it daily, you don't need to reset the time. For those people that have a lot of mechanical watches, you have to spin them or you have to wind it to keep the date and the time. And since I wear it daily, I don't have to worry about that. Another thing to mention is the lume on this watch is crazy good. When it charges up, the lume is really bright, and I love that bluish hue that it has on it. It definitely makes me happy that I bought this one again instead of the previous version of it. Another pro is that glide lock. It is so incredibly easy to use, to slide back and forth, to give you that extra little room in your wrist if you need it. And some days your wrist is a lot bigger than others, and I didn't think that it would be something that I would notice, but it is definitely noticeable, and I'm glad that I have the glide lock. The idea of going and having to have this size when you need a little bit of extra room is a little bit silly, so I'm glad that clasp is there. Another pro is that nobody really notices the Rolex. I have to say it is a con as well, and I'll get into that. But the reality is I haven't had a lot of people even comment on it when I wear it in public. And I think that it's a good thing. It's nice. It's kind of a sleeper. It goes under the radar and it's not as noticeable as you might think because you're wearing it. You know what it is, but a lot of people around you just don't care or just really don't notice it. And the last pro that I wanted to mention is that if you do buy one, it really is worth buying brand new. The fact that you get it registered in your name is a plus. I like the fact that I have it registered in my name, and if it gets stolen, I'm still the rightful owner of that watch. And I've heard stories where people have tried to sell them and they actually end up getting the watches confiscated because they were not the correct owners after they were stolen. So definitely makes more sense to buy it brand new. If you buy it used and it's only a couple $100 difference, and what if you buy it used from not a very trusted source? Chances are you could potentially get yours confiscated, it sounds like. I don't want to even risk that. So I like the idea of buying it new. So let's go ahead and get into some of the cons of this watch after wearing it for 6 months. First con is the stainless steel scuffs very easily. And I was actually kind of concerned about that at first because it really is easy to scrape. And especially on the bottom for me, I sit at a desk typing on my keyboard, and this definitely comes in contact with my desk often. I don't like that. I think that that's kind of a bummer that it is so easy to show wear on, but I know that you can get it polished out, and that is a solution. It's just crazy though, for as expensive of a watch as it is, that the watch shows so much wear. Another con for me personally, the rough edges of this bezel is so sharp for my kids that I've scraped my kid a couple times when he runs towards me for a hug or something. I like just wrong place, wrong time, and it's super sharp around here. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. It's really sharp and not really kid friendly. So don't have any kids running towards you, giving you hugs, and you'd probably be okay. But something I have to be very mindful of when I'm wearing it. Another con, as I already mentioned, is just being treated poorly as I was trying to buy one. Being judged solely off of my appearance was kind of ridiculous to me, and just really unfortunate that that is the way that some of the people that work there treat you. The next con is this bezel right here. It always gets nudged when I'm wearing it. And I know it's a part of the watch, and it's like the Submariner feature, whatever, of this dial. But it is kind of a nuisance when you're wearing it and then I notice that it's like offset. I always go back and have to reset it to the top position just because I don't actually use it functionally as what this is intended for diving. So for me, I just leave it there. But I hate to see it always nudged and off-centered. But I mean, it's a nitpick of a con, but it's kind of annoying and it happens pretty often. Another con worth mentioning is that I hear that servicing is very expensive on this watch. It's thousands of dollars to get it serviced, and it's something that I guess people have to get done when you have a Rolex. It's something that I really wasn't anticipating. I probably honestly won't even get mine serviced. I don't know if that's a huge mistake or not, but I'm one of those people that I'm just going to let it ride and see what happens. If it breaks, it breaks. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But it is a really expensive timepiece, and I plan on taking good care of it. I just don't really want to get it serviced. I might have a change of heart later on as I pass it to my son. Maybe I'll get it serviced before I give it to him. But kind of crazy how expensive this thing is to get serviced. And the next thing to mention as a con potentially is that nobody really notices the watch. Now, I mentioned this as a positive, but it could be kind of a negative too for those people out there looking at this watch to buy, to feel the status symbol on their arm or whatever it might be. And then when you get it, the reality is that nobody really compliments you. Nobody really notices it. Nobody really cares. And it's just a watch. Like, honestly, like, people aren't going to look at this and go, you're so much cooler because you have a Rolex on. It might actually have a negative connotation to you wearing this as well. People might think you're a D-bag because you bought a Rolex. The other con is people can just think that you're wearing a fake. Like me wearing a hoodie and a hat all the time, people might automatically assume that I'm rocking a fake Rolex and that I can't afford a real one because I just don't meet the appearance that they would expect to have something like this. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, people can think it's a fake. People can not notice it. I'm happy that I bought it regardless of that, but it's worth mentioning for those people that are on the fence. And really, when I say that people rarely notice this, if they've never seen me post it on social media, and if it's random people that I'm talking to, literally less than 5 people in 6 months have even noticed the watch. And the last con that I wanted to mention is sometimes I do think, man, I spent $8,500 on this watch. I could have used it for X, Y, and Z. I paid for this one outright. I didn't finance it or anything. It didn't put me in any sort of a financial bind, but it is worth noting, like, I'm saving for another house, and potentially I'm like, oh man, that money could have taken me that extra $8,500 closer to that next house, or it could have paid for closing costs to my house or taxes or, you know, other things. So because of that, it's worth noting. But ultimately what I ended up telling myself is that this was something that I got for myself. I'm proud to have gotten it, and honestly, like, I can make more money to be able to buy those other things. So sometimes you have to celebrate small victories along the way and milestones, and this was definitely one of those milestones for myself. So in summary though, was this worth buying after wearing it for 6 months? I have to really say that I enjoy wearing it daily. Sometimes I forget to even take it off at night. I do take it off at night though, and then put it on every single day. I find it extremely comfortable on my wrist. I don't have any arm hairs really on my wrist, but I don't have to worry about it pinching. Some other watches you do have to worry about, but it doesn't pinch your arm in any way, shape, or form. It's unbelievably comfortable on your wrist. It's a lot heavier than I would have expected on my wrist, but I love the size of this bezel as well. It's not too big, it's not too small. It feels just right on my wrist at least, and I'm really happy with the purchase. I wouldn't have chosen a different Rolex. I didn't want to settle for something else. This is the one that I wanted, and I'm happy that I got it. I got mine with a date, as you could see right here, but I would have been okay with getting it with no date as well. Honestly, the no date doesn't hold the same value, but that little window there is a little bit weird how the bubble pops up right there. It is kind of mischievous because it sticks up and it is a big, huge like eyesore, I guess, on top of the glass. It would have been cleaner looking, I think, without the date personally, but I do like the date there. And when I get really old, maybe I'll appreciate it even more. Although we all have our cell phones nowadays, so you don't really need your watch to tell you what date it is. But really though, is it worth buying? I have to say yes and no. I am proud of myself for being able to treat myself to this type of a gift, but it still doesn't change me as a person. Knowing that I could get rid of this at any point in my life and still be content with who I am and what I've achieved in my life, like, the Rolex is just icing on a cake. It's not something that defines me. Also, buying a nice watch like this has really piqued my interest in looking at other watches like a Tudor or a Tag or some other brands that offer nice wrist watches. But at the end of the day, like, I keep thinking, why would I want those other watches when I already have the Rolex that I wear every day? Like, I want a titanium Tudor watch, but it's like, what's the point? It looks very, very similar to this one, and I already have this one. So it's refreshing to me that I started off with this watch instead of something else where I have to work up to. I just ended up buying the one that I wanted. Anyways, hopefully this video has been informative to you guys out there. Anybody that is on the fence on whether or not they should buy one or not, hopefully this has been insightful, at least from my perspective, on how I feel about buying the watch. At the end of the day, Rolex is a great brand, very, very strong, obviously. Just like anything else out there though, buy in moderation, buy what you can afford, and work your way up to your milestones in your life. And this is just one of those ones that I hit, and I'm super happy that I did. And you see this watch on my wrist. I'm not trying to really flex. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'm just wearing it every single day. So it's on my wrist because that's where the watch belongs. Anyways, that is the video. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of the day. Thank you guys for stopping by and watching. Much appreciated. And more videos related to sneakers coming very soon. Peace, guys.